Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Welcome back. She is a rising star in the legal world. Loretta Powers is my guest right now, and she is a criminal defense attorney. She's based in Denton. Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show.
It's so great to be here, Jeff.
Thank you. Okay, so what got you into law?
Well, in law school, I was in an ethics class, and Professor Judge Kincaid asked everybody, "Why do you want to be a lawyer?" And I was sitting in the back, and I was like, because I was one of those students.
Right.
And I was like, well, I want to help people. And everybody started laughing.
Really?
Yes. And he was like, most of the time, a lawyer's job is helping somebody get their ox out of the ditch. And I was like, that's a great way to look at it. And I've always wanted to actually get an ox out of a ditch, but
Right.
really haven't had the opportunity, unfortunately.
No, I have so much respect for attorneys just getting through law school. I've heard horror stories about how difficult law school is, then passing the bar, and then starting a practice. I mean, it's really a lot of work, isn't it?
It is a lot of work, but it's completely worth it in the end.
Was there any time during this journey that you felt like quitting?
Absolutely not. No, I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 4 years old.
Really?
Yes.
At 4 years old, you remember wanting to be a lawyer?
It was either that or a singer, and I can't sing.
Now, was there an inspiration in your life, or was it television? Was it a television lawyer that said, "I want to be that person"?
Always a television lawyer.
Was it
Yeah.
Ally McBeal?
Very much so, yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because television and the movies—that's not real life, is it?
No.
They don't-
But my job is never boring.
Okay, so I know from getting to know you in the last couple of months that you're really passionate about helping people, especially in the human rights and immigration area. Talk about that.
Right. Well, especially with immigration, I think that coming to the United States is very desirable for a lot of people. And unfortunately for them, they were born on the wrong side of an arbitrary line.
Right.
And so it's very nice to be able to help them come here and pursue their dreams.
What are some cases that you've worked on, and you don't have to name names if you don't want to, but cases that you worked on where you say that, boy, this is why I got into law? Can you think of a case that where you said, I helped this person, I got this ox out of this ditch?
Any criminal defense case that I work on, because I think we kind of forget that there's a presumption of innocence.
Yes.
It's not the defendant, it's the citizen who's accused. And I think anyone, whether they're charged themselves, regardless if they did it or not, they want to be innocent until proven guilty, because that's what our Constitution says.
Absolutely. What is it about the law? I mean, are you jazzed doing the research? Are you jazzed? I
am. I love
really?
reading. And
So going back and finding that one case that you can refer to.
yes, and that it's an aha moment. It's like, I found it. This is going to be great.
That's awesome. Now, your husband is a very successful attorney.
Yes, he is.
Tim Powers, and he's listening, so shout out to Tim Powers. I used to interview Tim when I was on Channel 4. He's a fabulous attorney. And, you guys make a power couple.
Thank you. And it's so nice to be able to come home from a long day of work and just get somebody who understands what you're going through.
Well, so I'm married to a former TV journalist myself, and now she's in marketing and I'm in marketing. And so there's so much to be said for being married to somebody who can relate to what you're going through.
Absolutely.
And you have you're evolving now. You're going from criminal defense attorney to really media personality. You've been doing interviews, I know, on various topics. Talk about that side of Loretta Powers. Is it fun to be on the media and be interviewed about cases?
It is, because I think a lot of people don't really understand our legal system. So if I'm able to give people that little bit of insight to understand it better, because knowledge is power, and
Absolutely.
I love doing that.
And I think sometimes when I watch the news, and there are attorneys on the news all the time now. In fact, attorneys will get on the news and then they'll have their own show. There are, Fox shows right now that are judges and attorneys are running the show. I think Greta Van Susteren was
yes,
an
and
attorney.
Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly, of course. So in terms of the television arena, I know we're kind of a headline service. What do you want to bring to broadcast journalism in terms of educating the consumer, educating the public on how the process really works?
Well, I want to bring the consumers in and talk about how they feel about the law. Like, I love asking people questions like, how do you feel about the Ethan Couch case?
Right.
And they're like, I think he should be held accountable for his actions because he hasn't been.
Absolutely. One of the things that really impressed me about the OJ trial was that the ratings were off the charts, and some of it wasn't always a dramatic John A. Cochran moment. They were watching fairly tedious testimony, and Americans were there for the journey. And what's the hit show, The Making of a Murderer?
Yes.
America's fascinated with courtroom drama. One of the things that I am impressed about you is your passion. This was never just a way to make money, or you really want to make a difference, don't you?
Absolutely. If I can help somebody and make their day a little bit better by being on their side, really, I think my work is done.
Absolutely. And during this election season, we're hearing a lot about immigration, and it's become a political football. But I think sometimes the media paints it in a broad brush and really doesn't educate people on immigration.
One of my favorite lines that politicians use is they need to stand in line and wait their turn to get in. However, if your brother or sister, you're a U.S. citizen, and your brother and sister is not a U.S. citizen from Mexico, the line is actually 20 years long.
Wow.
For them to get the papers.
And I know some people have talked about, we should have amnesty, or other politicians have said we should send everybody back. I mean, how do you see this playing out?
I think that if we really do send everybody back, our economy will hurt a lot. But I see it playing out as maybe there might be a road to amnesty in the future, but I think we're a long way away from it.
Yes, it's become so divisive in this country. And as I look at, we've had last week we had a young lady on the show that was talking about immigration, and she's does an Immigrant Journey Award, and I see some of the immigrants who come to this country and go through the legal process. They're adding so much value to the country. To paint it all with the broad brush of, I think the public gets a bad perception.
Right. I mean, we forget that Albert Einstein was an immigrant.
We're a country of immigrants.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you trace us all back. We all came from someplace.
Right.
Except for the Native Americans.
And there's like a strong desire to want to make America great and better that these immigrants have. They come to America because they want to contribute and make it better.
Yes. And I don't think it should be a nasty word. And I think in some circles, it's become a nasty word where politicians have to avoid it, or they have to stay on this side of the issue or that side of the issue.
And I understand wanting to protect our sovereignty and protecting our country, but I think there's like a fine balance to be able to do both. Absolutely.
I also think about kind of the fear that is going on in America today, and a lot of it is coming from the rhetoric that we're hearing on this campaign. I think back on September 11th, when it didn't matter if you were black, white, or green. We were Americans and we were under attack. And I think we've gotten away from that. That this is a land of immigrants, and we all have a journey. And there is a fair way to create a process where people can become legal citizens and add value to this country. You're a fabulous guest, and her website, lorettapowers.com, and timpowers.com is her husband's website. Thank you so much for joining me on the Jeff Crilley Show. When we come back, we are going to be talking about the Plano Profile. You know this magazine. It's been around for years, but it is undergoing an overhaul, and you'll meet the man behind it coming up next.
More of The Jeff Crilley Show coming up.